and we only have 2 more to go. We shall start off the same way we did before. The number in front of the cosine is a 1. And if you're not sure, please put it there. Our amplitude is 1. Our vertical shift is on the other side of the equation this time. It's up 1. Our period. Now again, I should have just stopped and rewritten this problem, but I'm going to do that now so I don't make any mistake. This equation is equal to 1 cosine of 2 pi, and factoring out the 2 pi from everything, it's going to be an x minus, now this work I'll show just in case, we're going to do pi over 2 divided by 2 pi, which is the same thing as times 1 over 2 pi. The pi's cancel, and I'm left with 1 over 4 on the inside. The plus 1 stays. That means that the period is going to be 2 pi divided by 2 pi, which is equal to 1. My horizontal shift, that's going to be 1/4. It's a negative 1/4. That means I'm moving to the right. The intervals, I'm going to take my period of 1 divided by 4, and there's my interval. I'll go and set up the graph. My amplitude should be 1 and negative 1. But because I'm moving up 1, I'm going to have a 0 and a 2. So I'm going to cross out the original range, and I'm moving it up 1 unit for the entire graph, which gives my new range from 0 to 2, and my midline now will be the y equals 1. I'll put a dashed line at the bottom to show that this is my x-axis. Now, my horizontal shift causes me to go 1/4 unit to the right, so I have to start out at 1/4, and then my intervals are going to be in a 1/4, which is actually really nice of them. So that means I'm going to have a half then I'm going to have 3/4, and then I'm going to have 4/4, which will be 1, and then I'll have 5/4. I should have added 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers to it, because that's how many intervals it takes for cosine to complete a cycle. Because I'm talking about my cosine graph, I will start at my max and not at the origin or at the midline, and because I have a positive 1, I will again start at my max. I will not be starting at 0, 2 though, because the graph was shifted 1/4 to the right. So at 1/4, at x equals 1/4, my y value is going to be a 2. And then everything follows suit after that. At x equals half, the y value is a 1. 3/4, there you go. And that should complete it. This one I'm going to check by hand to make sure that I have the right numbers that I'm supposed to be looking at. So I'll take 3/4, and I'm going to do y equals cosine of 2 pi times 3 over 4, because that's what I'm plugging in for x. I'm expecting a 0 out, so let's see what I get. I hope I get a 0, or else I'm going to have to redo this part. I get 6 pi over 4. I get a cosine of 6 pi over 4, which is really going to be 3 pi over 2, minus a pi over 2, plus 1. Cosine of 3 pi over 2 minus pi over 2, that's going to be cosine of pi. Cosine of pi is a negative 1. A negative 1 plus 1 equals 0, and I do have indeed a point 3/4, comma 0. This green graph is correct. This is a new and our last problem. Our amplitude is 2. Our vertical shift, we're going down 1 unit this time. The way I know that is because of the minus 1 at the end. Period and horizontal shift, again, I need to be real careful here. I'm going to do the side work here. I'm going to factor out a pi over 10. That's going to leave me with an x plus I divided this guy by pi over 10, and if you're not sure, I'll put the work up here. I did pi divided by pi over 10, which is the same thing as multiplying by 10 over pi. And it looks like my value inside is going to be 10. The minus 1 stays on the outside. That said, I have 2 pi for the period divided by pi over 10, which is the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal, and I get a period of 20. My horizontal shift is going to be 10 units to the left. My intervals. Well, I'll take my period of 20, divide into 4, and I'm going up by 5s. Okay, combining all this information, let's go on start. I was originally going to have a range from -2 to 2, but because I'm going down 1, I can forget about that guy and go to -3, and I'm going to 1. My midline usually is at the x-axis, but because I'm dropping 1 for the vertical shift, that means my new midline is going to be at y equals -1. And that's not a straight line at all, my apologies. So I took care of my amplitude, took care of my vertical shift. Next, my horizontal shift is 10 units to the left. So I will not be starting at the origin. I'm going to be starting way over here at -10. Now, the intervals, we said were going to be 5 units each. So let's go ahead and take care of that. We'll go to 5. That's going to be a -5. Then we'll be at 0. We'll go to 5. And then we'll go to 10. The total distance between -10 and 10 is 20. And that is indeed the period that I had set out to do. I just want to quickly sketch in the x-axis to stay consistent with what we've been doing in the previous videos, or what I've been doing in the previous videos. And now I'm ready to graph. I would normally start right here at the point 0, -1, but because the graph is shifted 10 units to the left, this point is actually getting shifted way over here to -10. It looks like I should be at -5, 1. I'm not going to be at -5, -3. My 2 in front of the sign is a +2, which means I'm going to start out with my max first. So I started at -10, 0. Now I'm going to go to -5 and 1. It looked like my point was supposed to be at -3, but I do need to return back to the midline at y equals -1. And then I'll be at 5, -3 at 10, -1. And the 10, -1 will be my last point. I'll connect these points, and this is going to be a more spread out graph for sure. So forgive my horrible drawing. Oh, goodness gracious. And that was a pitiful drawing of what the graph should look like. Because it was so pitiful, I'm going to go and graph this on Desmos. And notice again how much longer this function is taking to complete one period. Let me deselect the orange now. So from -10 to 10 looks like this. I should have a -10, -1, which is indeed what I have, is -10, -1 here. I should have -5, 1, which is what I'm looking at. I should have a value of 0, -1, which is what I have here. And it does look like I have the right graph. Again, I should not have a y value of -3 because that's not when the graph was going to hit its minimum yet. That should have happened at 5. Thanks for taking the time to watch the video, and I hope after these 8 problems you were able to understand how to graph the trigonometric functions a little bit better than you did before. Thank you.